I would say that this is how creative diplomacy is conducted. And I can tell you the backstory how it happened. Prime Minister Narendra Modi authorized his team, and if you remember, he acknowledged the work that the team did. He gave them a broad framework that, listen, we want, as India's presidency, under India's presidency, a consensus building draft declaration. That's what the team did. They went back and forth. There were some last minute surprises as well. China tried to play spoil sport. You know that Xi Jinping didn't come here. But they also realized in the end they were isolated. Both when it came to the global south, the African countries, they supported India because the global south countries, and also the reason why African Union was inducted today and the Prime Minister called the chair of the African Union to come and take his place was all a well-calibrated decision by New Delhi to send a message out that both the countries of global south and the countries of the developed world, countries like the US, Joe Biden put his full might behind Prime Minister's leadership and India's position here. And you see, specifically on Ukraine, which was the most contentious word, even though this is primarily an economic grouping. But as the Prime Minister also had mentioned that, this is not the time of a war. And India has clearly mentioned, even in the document, if you see, they said that since a war impacts economic activity, it impacts people directly. That's the reason why you see the formulation coming out. The Russians were got on board by Prime Minister when he spoke to Vladimir Putin himself. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar was in touch with Mr. Lavrov, who is the foreign minister. That's how they came to, and they were sent a message that, listen, this is India's presidency. You have been old friends of India. You have to make sure that you come around the draft that we are preparing. So I would say this is a victory of a new India, a victory of Prime Minister's foreign policy, which got in both the developed and the developing world together. People should realize that today India is no longer the country what it used to be, right? A G20 summit of this nature had to be done in a certain manner. You've seen the International Media Center. I've been talking to so many in the international media. When they go to conferences, there are vending machines which are put here. It's an Indian hospitality at display. You have to make sure that these things had to be done. The sprucing up of the city, Bharat Mandapam, it's a showcase, and this is going to stay because India needed a world-class convention center. This is not the first summit that India is hosting. So I think those things have to be done. Unfortunately, I would say for people who are critics, they should realize it's a new India and there are ways things are done. And it's for every Indian should be proud today that we have achieved something which most felt was not achievable. People felt that, the conference will end without a declaration. Yes. It is all a exercise. Yeah, you've been.
And Italy and the presence of leaders from Mauritius and the World Bank.
It is not about the world recognizing India's leadership. The world is recognizing India as a peacemaker, as a consensus builder, as the voice of reason. This is what is expected today from a country of India's stature and a leader like Prime Minister Modi to take that pole position and lead and provide. And the other thing is the Indian narrative on a lot of challenging issues, whether it's the use of DPI, which is India's innovation for the world. All that has got its resonance. The Biofuels Alliance. All these are things which will work towards a better world.
And that too 100% unanimity with the kind of numbers that we see in the outcomes that have been agreed upon. And, nobody had imagined that it will happen to this level. Because
I think, as they call it in the sports parlance, they've hit the ball out of the park.